So with that, let's talk more about you and your journey and all that kind of stuff. You said you were at 650 at one point,
My heaviest was at 587.
so you were 600 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when was this? I mean, what time frame?
At my heaviest was probably about 10 years ago. I've been my heaviest probably for about 8 years. Past 2 years has been dropping, but it's been fluctuating between 475 to 587. It's when you get that big, it don't take much to put on 50, 60, 70 pounds. You don't really notice it. You're back to where you're using everything spandex and tie string. And so you put
Right.
50, 60 pounds on and you don't realize. So usually between 5 and 587, around right there.
And you do like all the rest of us and try every fad diet and whatever.
Like I said, I was a 350 at about 15, 16 years old. And I remember back then, all I could wear was just dicky pants and, or jogging pants.
Jogging pants, yeah.
I remember going to school and people making fun of me because I had a hole between my legs because my legs
Thighs
rubbed
rubbing.
together and everything else. And but I tried every diet. I mean, Weight Watchers, Atkins, starvation, puking up. I did everything in the world, even at my youngest age. I was always morbidly obese, even before my teenage years and everything else. It's just I wore what I had to wear. It just
So when you look back at that stuff, was it hormone imbalance? Was it eating? Was it stress eating? Was it depression? I mean, or all of the above? I mean,
all the above. It's just when you're real young and you're already overweight and your family's overweight. Most of my family's obese or morbidly obese all my life, and they just been battled. And my mom found happiness in food, and it just leaked on to me. And if we got a beating, or I was raised in an abusive household, and she knew the way to get me out of my bedroom was to put something on the stove, and that smell would bring me out every time. It's just it was a comfort mechanism, and I lived with it my whole life. Anything that made me think or struggle or put me in depression mode, food is always there, and it's 24/7.
right.
It's when a liquor store closes, a drug dealer sooner or later goes inside to sleep, but you got a 24-hour McDonald's or, it's always there, and it don't judge you.
Yeah. Well, we being my family, I was telling you about my mom. Not always, but she started gaining a lot of weight in her 20s. And then my brother's put on a lot of weight recently. I've always fluctuated a lot. I mean, when I graduated high school, I was 130 pounds and, got up to 218, started working out with a trainer, dropped down to 181, got back on thyroid medicine, tried to knock that last 5 pounds off because I wanted to get to 175. Got on the medicine, put on 50 pounds. And I'm like, I gained 50 pounds sitting at the house. I don't need to be working out and paying a trainer for this. And then I didn't feel good because I always felt good when I worked out. Even if I couldn't lose weight, whatever, I felt better, slept better, all that kind of stuff. Went back training with him. And I didn't watch what I was eating at all. This time, before I was watching what I was eating, working out 3 hours a day. This time I was working out 3 days a week, so 3 hours a day, maybe 4.5 by the time you put in some warm up time. But I wasn't watching what I was eating. I just eat anything. But it took me to working out 3.5 hours a week just to maintain. If I didn't do it, and then I quit working out this summer because I was dealing with my mom, and I think I'm about 240 now from 224. So I've gained another 16 pounds in the last 7 months from not working out because, again, I haven't changed the diet at all. And it's my fault.
But that still ain't bad. I mean, it's catchable. 16 that's nothing.
Yeah, well, and I know that, but the problem is 16 turns into 60 if you don't get in front of it. And then I think at some point, I've not had that experience, but I think at some point people just look in the mirror and say, it's too late. There's nothing.
Well, they start hurting. You put on 60 pounds, just try carrying 60 pounds around for a half an hour. Just walk a circle. Put 60 pounds and you get wore out. You get tired and you like sit down more, then all of a sudden you're laying down more, then all of a sudden you're eating more and you're doing less, and then all of a sudden you're 100 pounds overweight, and then you're really hurting. And then next thing you know, you're bedridden. Next thing you know, this body parts are going, this body part's going.
Yeah.
It's a quick downwind.
Well, and I don't think people realize, like, I could remember watching like My 600-Pound Life. And I'd feel mad. I'm like, stop enabling, stop frying the food to carry it in there and feed this person on the bed. Just stop doing it. You can't just stop cold turkey. But I could feel those emotions when I'm watching this stuff.
I feel it now so much. I was supposed to be on the 600-pound life. I turned it in. I was at my worst. I was bedridden for 4 months. They contacted me. I was turning in journals. I was turning in pictures. They had a therapist calling me up, don't put on the weight, don't put on the weight. And I was lying to them. By the time they had called me up for trying to get me to start the procedure of being in the show and everything, I gained 125 pounds because I thought, well, this is going to be the miracle. This is it. Let me enjoy my drug now. And when they come up to me, they said, well, what's your current weight? I said, They said, well, you put on 100-some pounds. We had to get back up with you. And they found somebody else for the show, you know what I mean? And to me, that was my last outlet of ever getting to where I am now. And I lied my way through it. And that's why I made a decision that if I'm going to do it, I'm going to, first of all, quit lying to myself. You got to quit doing that. First thing is quit lying to yourself.
Absolutely.
The scales don't lie. Right. You can sit up there and eat behind everybody's back in the world and lie to everybody and yourself, but those scales will tell the truth every single time.
I could remember, so when I was on thyroid medicine, I had this crazy craving for sugar. And like I went on a trip one time at work. I had to go to Georgetown from Myrtle Beach. I'm driving down the road thinking about where I'm going to stop and get ice cream at. I'm like, there's a McDonald's at the back gate. Oh, no, there's a Wendy's in Merle's Inlet. I can stop and get a Frosty. Then I'm like, no, in Paulie's, there's a Sonic. I can stop there and get an Oreo Blast. And then I get down there. I end up driving because I don't even remember what it was. I ended up coming back up 701 to Conway just so I could stop in Conway and get a milkshake. I'm having these conversations in my head the whole 2-hour trip or whatever. And finally I ended up going to the gym and getting a protein shake because it was still chocolatey. It had the consistency of a milkshake or whatever, but that's all I could think about. And I wasn't a big sweets guy. I could remember then at same time period, you're talking about lying to yourself and lying to others. I could remember going to Tofino's and getting cheesecake, eating a piece of it in the parking lot, and then come home and bring another piece home and act like, well, I just stopped at Tofino's and got us cheesecake, you know, but I could remember that kind of stuff. And that was never me. And I attributed it to the side effects from that medicine because I had all kinds of crazy side effects from it. And then once they changed my medicine, that stuff's, you know, it's went away, but it's easy and the addictive power of sugar. You know, I used to every morning, my daughter and I'd go to school and we'd stop at Dunkin' Donuts and we'd get donuts every morning. Because that was our time together. Mm-hmm. Is we would eat donuts and that kind of stuff. And she loves ice cream and we're always getting ice cream together. But now I talk to my wife about it because I'm like, I see where this is going. If she doesn't stop eating this stuff, she's going to be 16, 200 pounds, crying because nobody wants to take her to the prom. It's easier to deal with it now. All you got to do is tell her no.
Oh, that's why I'm fixing myself. My daughter is obese. And I remember I had her 2 summers ago, and I got her a kitten, and it died on us. And we went out there to the beach, and we made a little stick cross. And first time me and my daughter ever just cried, a true cry of love for each other and what we were doing together. And before I can get home, she goes, Daddy, can we stop by Steak and Shake? I'm like, yeah, baby, what for? We just ate. And this is me being morbidly obese at my worst. I was 5'87". I had a cab business. And she's like, because I want to get ice cream and chicken nuggets. I'm like, but we just ate. Yeah, Daddy, but it makes me feel better. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, when I eat, I don't hurt. And it tore me up.
Sure.
I mean, I just fell apart again right there in the drive-through, still getting her that ice cream and chicken nugget. The power of the comfort eating is so powerful that my daughter just told me that she is only happy when she's eating. Me crying in the drive-through, giving an order, and buying her the poison that's making her the way she is. And I couldn't stop myself. Yeah. And I'm like, there is something wrong. Yeah. When my daughter is in the same situation, if I don't stop it, but the only way I can do it is if I fix myself. You got to lead by example with these kids. Yeah. You cannot go through a drive-through and expect for them to eat celery sticks.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the conversation we have. And, look, I want my kid, if she wants ice cream, I want her to have ice cream, but you see where it's going, the power of sugar. And like she'll joke, and she don't understand, right? She's 8, but I'll be like, what'd you have to eat today? And she'll laugh because she knows it gets under my skin, and she'll say sugar. Mm-hmm. You can't, I mean, I'm like, you're going to be 15 years old with 1 foot. That's what's going to happen. The doctor's going to cut your foot off because you're going to be diabetic at 15. But it's crazy, and it's in everything. And I find myself doing it. Mm-hmm. I drink 3 or 4 or 5 Coca-Colas a day, and that's just wasted calories. It's just full of sugar and carbs. And it doesn't even taste good. It's not even. I quit 7 years when we got the boat. I remember being on the boat. I quit cold turkey soda. I had headaches for 10 days.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying to get detox that stuff out of your system or whatever. And I've tried all the fad stuff, For me, it wasn't about a number, and I'm not, 240 right now or whatever. I wear it like I wear it. It's not that big of a deal, but I wanted to be able to wear a T-shirt. That's why I remember telling people. I want my chest to stick out further than my stomachs, and my shoulders to stick out wider than my love handles. But when I got down to 181, I think the picture was at 186. That's as small as I'd been since right out of high school or whatever, since I was 18, 19. But when I looked at that picture, all I could see was love handles, right? For me, 180, that I was small. But that's all I could see, just mentally. Then I hear people that are anorexic or whatever, bulimic, talking about all their skin and bones. They look like these microphone stands, and it's, they see fat and they see this or they see that. But when I look at that picture, that's all I could see is love handles, not anything else. And it wasn't that much. I mean, it was just like anybody else. But yeah, man, it was crazy.
Yes. When I was on my heavies, I had too much to look at, and that's. You don't look in mirrors, you don't take pictures or nothing like that right there. Now, since I've gotten down to where I'm at now, it's funny you say love handles because I put on that 20 pounds and I'm starting to get a little love handle. I'm like, well, I got to catch up with this right here. You know what I mean? When you got a little bit to work with, it's a whole lot easier than when you got a whole lot to work with.
Yeah. So in your journey, what kind of was the turning point, and were you getting support from folks? I know you're doing a lot on Facebook, stuff like that. What was that lifestyle change for you that just enough is enough?
Sitting in bed for 4 months, just conversation with 2 cats and a bunch of drunk customers, and looking at the same 4 walls. Was I put on this earth for this? Is this the way I'm going to go out? And sitting in his bed for 4 months, everything came out as a movie that came to mind was What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Sure,
and
yeah.
I always thought about, if I die here, they're going to have to bust this wall open to get me out of this bed, because they were trying to figure out how to get my heart healthy enough to take my foot off because of diabetes. I was congestive heart failure, COPD, sleep apnea, had 2 inhalers, living off an oxygen tank, 4 or 5 breathing treatments a day, edema in the legs.
But you were a young man.
I went to the emergency room 4 or 5 times a month because my edema was trying to move up to my legs. And if that moves up to your heart, you're
about 40 at this point, right? 40, 41, something like that?
I was 33, 34.
Oh, wow.
10 years ago. I was in my 30s. I was 35, 36. I've only this lifestyle, new lifestyle mine's been it's fresh. It's green. It's 2 years, and it's the most best thing that I've ever done, and best thing I could ever have done in my life. It's a completely different life. It's just
Well, it has to be.
it's
Or you'll fall right
just
back
the
into it.
simplest things that people take for granted, of just wiping your butt or bathing or going to a public restroom. Or I was on fluid pills, and had a cab business, and you sit in traffic in a fluid. I mean, I remember sitting on a dog pee pad because I knew I wouldn't make it back to the bathroom to go. You just those stories is it's powerful, and it makes me where I will never ever go back. And like you said, looking at the 600-pound lives, I see myself looking at these people saying, just stop it, and you can't do it.
No, it's way easier said than done.
It's not, and people don't understand, when you're morbidly obese and you're 600 pounds, you walk around with your head down because people look at you in two ways. It's either they feel bad for you or they feel sickening for you. And they don't understand, when you look at a person morbidly obese, it affects them the same way. It don't matter if you feel sorry for me or you think I'm lazy and a big old piece of lard. The feeling that you give me is the same.
Yeah, there's nobody that wants to have to drive to the doctor in the back of a caravan, right? Because that was what I remember from that show, is this one woman, they're opening the back of a van and she's just kind of rolling in there. Nobody wants that, but I believe once you get so big, it's just,
You're a burden to everybody.
They throw their hands up.
You just throw everybody. I threw all my family, all my friends. I was so hateful to them, man. I just threw them away. Stay away from me. And they think it was because I was just mean and hateful and I hated my life and everything. But that's true. Right. But also, I didn't want them around to see me die.
So when you started this last journey a couple years ago, what's the support like?
I like the way you said it, last, because it is my last journey. Yeah. This is forever.
Yeah. Well, it's because, where are you at right now? How much have you lost total?
I lost over 350 pounds in 2 years. Yeah. With no stomach surgery or nothing.
Right.
Just
lifestyle change.
Completely. Yeah. Completely. And I sit right here and I tell people, they come in the title and they hear my story and they see me on Facebook. And when I talk to them, I take a $2 bag of rice and I sit it right there on the table. And they sitting there the whole time we talking, just like me and you talking. You can see them look at that bag of rice, look at that bag of rice, look at that bag. And after the conversation, right at the end of it, I say, now you see this $2 bag of rice? Is this $2 bag of rice worth your happiness? Is this $2 bag of rice worth your future? Is this $2 bag of rice worth your family, your kids' future? Because you're taking that $2 bag of rice and you're telling me that it's more important than your life. And when they see that, it puts it in perspective.
Yeah. Well, and another thing with weight and all that, I'm not having a heart attack tomorrow, right? It's kind of the frog in the pot of water, right? You throw him in boiling water, he's going to jump out. You just put him in a bucket of water and turn it on, and he starts boiling. It's going to kill him. It's not going to happen tomorrow. I don't go to the ocean; it'll be there tomorrow, right? I've got all the time in the world, but again, I think it just starts pushing further and further, and mentally. With the depression, anxiety, just being ashamed and walking down the street with your head down and that kind of stuff.
It does a lifetime. That part of losing weight and my journey is I can lose weight. In fact, I'm down on my last 50 or 60 pounds, and I will learn to maintain. But the struggles and the hard times and the depression and the things that you put yourself through in the past, it's going to be a lifetime of just living with, just bearing with it, just learning from it. Because they say don't go back, don't look back, but you can't tell your mind what was back there. But you got to use it towards a positive of not going back. Well, you'll never repair and be 100% that way.
Well, I could remember, again, when I was going through that crazy sugar craving or whatever, and I was down below 200 pounds, and I'd go get an ice cream. And then the next day I'd get an ice cream, and I'd go weigh myself, and I haven't gained any weight. So, man, I'll just go get another ice cream. And then I've only gained 1 pound. I mean, I knock that out next week. That's no big deal. And you keep eating ice cream, and then now I've gained 5 pounds. But yeah, it's not a big deal. Again, I mean, right, you're back to it's not a big deal. 5 pounds, I can knock that out. I'll just stop tomorrow, or I'll start when you go to the gym. Well, today's Thursday. I'll start Monday.
That's when excuses start coming.
Yeah. I'll start Monday and all that kind of stuff. And well, like you were talking about with the TV show, I'm going to live my best life. TV shows will come in, change me, save me, and I'm going to pack on 100 pounds.
When they told me that, I was 6 foot longs in a 12-hour shift. I was lucky to be. I mean, just when Subway come out with the 3 foot longs for $15, I went in the afternoon at 6 o'clock. I bought 6 foot longs, and by 6 o'clock that morning, all 6 foot longs were gone. Wow. It was a foot long every 2 hours, just like somebody smoking a cigarette. I had to have a foot long every 2 hours, and I did that for about 3 or 4 months solid. They knew 6 o'clock. I had to have the grilled chicken, bacon, extra cheese, lettuce, tomato, and jalapenos for Big Mike. I'm coming in there, right there at Grand Dunes. They're closed down now, but at Subway, employees knew me by name. It was like putting the fresh bread on to serve the people. They knew 6 o'clock, Big Mike's coming in the door.
And you get 6?
6 foot long. I ate them every 2 hours, and I carried around a 2-liter Dr. Pepper, Diet Dr. Pepper. I never had sweets. Sweets was never a problem with me. It was always the carbs. It was born and raised in the South. It was grits and eggs, fried potatoes, biscuits. Yeah. It was you didn't have fish with you had fish with rice and fish grease on top of that, and you had fried taters and onions, and if you had rice left over from dinner, you had eggs and rice for breakfast the next day. The Southern way of cooking is it's good, but it's not good for you.
Oh no, it's
especially
good,
if you grow up with a big family and a tight budget. You can get a 50-pound sack of taters and have fried taters and onions 5 days a week, but is that good for the kid? Is that good for you? No, but it's surviving.
Yeah.
You know, it's just cheaper, better, and starches it's just cheap way of eating.
Well, that's what I find even now is convenience. Like it's easier to go to McDonald's and get stuff that makes you feel disgusting after you eat it than to meal prep good food.
I used to go to the 99 cents menu. I remember I used to get 10 of those $1 double cheeseburgers, and they were gone. And they were gone in a movie. I'll sit there and watch a movie, and all 10 of them would be gone. Sick as a dog, end up puking half of it up, and guess what? I wiped my mouth. McDonald's was across the street on Main Street, North Myrtle Beach. Walk right back over there. Get back over there, get 10 more, and it'll get me through the night. It's a terrible addiction. It's just
all I can think about is how can somebody afford to eat that much?
I had a young lady at the gym, and I told her flat out, I would eat $50 or $60 worth of food a day. She said, "How can you afford that?" I said, "It's a drug. Yeah. I'm making the money. If a drug addict can afford drugs, if I could afford $100 a day, I would eat $100 worth of food. Don't mean $40 worth of it would stay down. I would eat. It don't matter to me. It was constant. It was, you give me $100 bill and told me to go do what I want to with it. I'll buy $100 worth of food and make myself sick. And it's just
So you talked about your daughter and bringing her comfort and stuff like that. Was it the same for you when you're eating these 6 foot longs one every 2 hours? What was your reasoning, or do you even know that you were just eating 10 double cheeseburgers?
It's not a reason.
I can just do it.
It's just it's part of life. You wake up, you think about what you're going, and you said, like, I went around here to go get this here. I remember planning. You talking about meal planning? I remember planning. Well, and this is exactly the way I thought back then. Burger King got the best burgers. I would go to Burger King, get the 2 for $6 Whoppers. By the time I got done with them, I went to Arby's. Arby's got the curly fries. So I would stop by Arby's and ate and this is me driving a cab. I would go to Arby's and get the large curly fries. And then by that time, I would say, well, Hardee's got the best chicken tenders. So I went from the fries. And by the time I got done eating the fries, I was picking up somebody and driving by Hardee's, and I already had that planned out. So I got the chicken tenders, and I'm eating the chicken tenders, picking up somebody else. And it was funny because wherever I picked them up at and wherever they were going, I planned, oh, they're going to Broadway. So you know what that means? I could stop by Sonic's and get their cheesy footlongs and right there. Then I'm eating that right there, picking up somebody else. And in between that right there, I got to find a tree to puke. And I also got to find a tree to go and use the bathroom because I don't fit in the bathrooms at the gas stations or whatever. And then I pick them up, and then all of a sudden they want to go to the casino boat. Well, on the casino boat, there's this good place where they serve fried shrimp. So let me go ahead and call them up. Hey, this is Big Mike. I'll be there in about 40 minutes. Can I have a large shrimp platter? All right. And then by the time I drop them off, the money I made from them going to the shrimp platter, coming back to the beach, it was hard work to get that big. It wasn't easy. It wasn't cheap. It was a lot of planning and a lot of concentration involved. It was an addiction that it's nonstop, 24 hours a day. I got so big in that cab that nobody could sit behind me. It was a 7-passenger town and country, and I got my name Big Mike Taxi just because I was Big Mike. I was 5'87", and nobody could sit behind me. I had the sliding door on my side locked and took the lock off because I didn't want customers to open it up and say, geez, how I'm going to sit behind you? You're not going to sit behind me. You're going to go around the van. And I lost a lot of money because I couldn't get that extra person in the cab. And and I got so big that it got dangerous. It's a blessing I got out of it that I didn't hurt nobody because I remember having the steering wheel all the way up, the seat all the way back, bent all the way back. My butt, the rest area right here was up. The center console, my butt sat on it, and the passenger armrest was my armrest. So when people were sitting back there, all they saw was they couldn't see in front of me.
So what did that do for like this? You're 587 pounds. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're not going to squeeze in between this. Mm-hmm. So what would you do? Would you just sit in it and just kind of hang? What would you do for like just seating? Like you?
Oh, I didn't. Or
did you just? First time, or you didn't go anywhere?
You didn't go nowhere.
You stay in your van. You go
even
home.
Doctor's office. I remember going to the doctor office and I was sign in, and they know. Well, I'm gonna go sit in the van and call me when it's my turn up because I couldn't fit in the seats and I couldn't stand long. So I would go sit in my van and wait for them to call me, then go in there and go straight to the back.
Because, gosh, I mean, never experienced it. Now I'm thinking like even if like a restaurant, you need something as big as a booth.
I didn't go to a restaurant.
But you couldn't get in it because you couldn't fit between the table and the booth.
You think somebody morbidly obese or whatever is going out to eat all the time. I never ate out. My deal was going to shopping, and you don't eat out. You just can't fit in the chairs, and if you're scared you're going to fall in them. And I remember going to fast food restaurants or whatever. They either have the benches, and then they had the little seats that goes around like this right here. And I remember squeezing sideways between the two chairs and couldn't sit at the table. I had the food right here, my drink right here, and I did like this right here. And I had to sit in the opening. It just people lazy when they're morbidly obese and everything. But I'll tell you what, it takes a lot of thinking, a lot of effort just to live normal life, just to go to a fast food restaurant. You had to make sure. I remember driving through, not for the drive-through, but just to drive through and make sure the seating is somewhere that I can sit. It's in restaurants, the tables are so close together, it's normal. The more tables, the more customers, the more turnaround. Right. But if I walk into a restaurant and the tables are too close, you don't want to have to bump into them. Golden Corral, man, I tell you, I love that place because it's set up for heavy people. The chairs are sturdy. They're far apart. Even the bench area is further away. Golden Corral is set up, and I'm not putting it down because I still eat there. But I can sit there and eat a salad and a piece. It's what you put on your plate. Don't blame a restaurant for, you know what
You
I'm
have
saying?
to take responsibility for your own
Absolutely.
actions.
I can sit right there and and I like go because you can make a salad and get 2 chicken breasts and be done. But it's set up for big chairs, big people, big plates,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I
And
mean, and what you're talking about there with we got to take responsibility. I get very frustrated when we're blaming McDonald's for overweight people. Does it make people? Does their product make people overweight? Absolutely.
absolutely.
Is it their fault that you're eating 10 double cheeseburgers?
Supply and demand.
Not at all.
Supply and demand.
So like with AA and NA and all that, their support and oh my gosh, what are they called whenever you've got a person that you can call? You know, I'm thinking about going and drinking or whatever. I mean, what's out there for obese people? I mean, like,
I went to NA meetings. I've been to NA meetings this past 2 years, and I've told my story to them. You're a sponsor. That's one thing that somebody was encouraging me to become a sponsor, and I went in I went in there and I told them my story, and they looked at me a little different because my drug was food. But once I told them how it was my drug and how it was my alcohol and how it's worse because it's a 24/7. You can always go through a drive-through or something like that. And the same thing, you're killing yourself and you're killing people around you. When you're morbidly obese, you're just not hurting yourself, you're hurting everybody around you.
So you went to the NA meeting for the support group because food was your drug.
I went to the NA meeting because on this journey, I've met some great friends that has, since they met me, has cleaned their life up, and they have really encouraged a lot of people around them, and they tricked me into going to a coffee shop, which turned out to be a NA meeting in the back. Well, I felt like it was a blessing for me to be there, and I just told my story, and I hope and pray that it helps somebody else.
I went to one as well when my mother was struggling with drugs. I went looking for how do I help her. And when you're sitting and they go around and everybody's saying their name and hi, I'm so and so and I'm an addict or whatever, and it gets to me and I'm like, my name's Michael Johnson. I'm not an addict, and I felt like you could hear a pin drop in that place, and all eyes are on me. What's this outsider doing here? You're not dealing with the struggle. I
felt like that with food, going in there talking about food.
Yeah. So that's how I felt. Then they asked if anybody wanted to share, and I felt like I needed to explain why I was there. So I stand up and explain while I'm there, and it was mixed. Some people came up to me afterwards and like, look, there's nothing you can do until your mother has to decide. You can't. She has to hit her bottom. Other people come up and it was like, we don't like first timers to share.
Oh, it's a tight group.
Oh, it was. I also told them when I was there, if it's not appropriate for me to be here, let me know, and I'm happy to leave. I'm an outsider, and I shared that with them whenever I told them who I was or whatever, because I did not want to get in there and offend anybody. What I learned, which would be the same, I'm assuming the same in yours, was again, it's just stop taking drugs, stop sticking a needle, stop eating, stop doing whatever. And I would hear these people talk, and what my takeaway was, if I can get out of bed and just brush my teeth without eating or taking drugs, right? Whatever your devil is, if I could just get out of the shower and get dressed without eating, if I can just get from getting dressed to the car without eating, like they live their life in 5-minute increments. If I can just get from A to B, not if I can go today, that's too much. If I can just get from here to brush my teeth, and so I had a whole new respect for all that kind of stuff. And like talking right now, I dealt with it with my mom, or saw it with my mom, her being overweight. She said the same thing. I'm like, Mom, why don't you just have this stomach stuff undone? She's like, I can't. It's impossible, because I know then I would go eat 3 Big Macs just because I could. I can't have it undone. I'm still the same person. I'll go do it. And I see her now that she can eat with this latest surgery, but it's nonstop, man. She eats nonstop.
This 20 pounds is the first time I've gained this much weight in my 350 plus pounds lost. And during the procedures of my abdominal skin removal surgery and my pacemaker, and just going through these things, I find myself just that short of time. It's been 3 weeks. And I find myself, my mind set back in those old habits.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I have not eaten wrong. My diet is still as strong as ever before, but it's the calories I put in and everything I wasn't able to work off. And now I see myself struggling, trying to get back in that frame of mind, like diet and exercise has got to be together. You just can't diet and you just can't exercise. I've tried them both through this journey, and you can't just go in there and exercise and go in there and put 3,000 calories in your belly.
You cannot, and I've learned this, but you cannot out exercise food. It's impossible. No, you cannot do it.
I've tried it. I've tried it. I hit that bag so many. And when I first started exercising, and when I say exercising, I fell in love with boxing. I mean, I hit that bag, and that bag is my emotional support now. I think about my troubles, my achings, my addiction to food. I hit that bag and I just work it out. But when I first started, you know how you said you got to take 5 minutes and not a whole day. Yeah. I started out with just 3 30-minute classes a day. And after those classes, I would stop by Jimmy John's or whatever and get a foot long. I remember going by Arby's. I earned that. I worked out. I've already burned off those 2 roast beef sandwiches and a lot of curly fries, so I'm going to eat that. And it took 2 months of hitting that bag, and putting on weight, hitting that bag, realizing that if I'm going to come in here and I'm going to beat my head against the wall hitting this bag and go out there and eat, it ain't going to happen. And I tell you what, when I put those 2 mindsets together, that I'm hitting this bag, and after that bag, I'm going home. I'm having a protein shake and a boiled egg. That weight started coming off. I'm like, you know what? I got it down. This is the secret. This is it. You got to put exercise and the right food together to have the energy to hit that bag, you know? And then you start using your body the way it's supposed to be for energy, and you start using food for you and not against you. I can go now and I can tell if I don't have enough protein, if I don't have enough calories, if I don't have enough carbs in me, by my workout, I'm like, well, what did I eat today? Well, I don't have enough carbs. And you got to have enough carbs. You got to have enough protein. You got to have enough calories in order to function and to put the effort into those bags. If I don't eat right, my workout sucks, and why I even show up?
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine who he too has struggled with weight. He's just a big boy. I mean, he's probably 6 foot something, just a big boy. Like when we were growing up, it was husky, right?
Oh, Hulk.
Yeah. But I mean, he was a big boy, but he says that all the time. I burned it, I earned it, you know. But I'd catch him in the car eating a cheeseburger from McDonald's, and then walk in and, you know, start eating healthy food, you know, in the office or whatever. But it's a crazy struggle. But I would have never even thought about like the 6 foot longs, and I mean that's
easy, man.
So much food.
Easy. I remember putting 3 down at a time, and not getting sick. My stomach was so big that I could eat 3 foot longs and a 42-ounce diet soda and not get sick. I would feel sick and I would feel miserable because I know what I just did.
Right.
It was like sticking a needle to your arm or doing shots.
Yeah,
you know, whatever
you get
it
that
is. Instant regret. But then that makes you turn around and start eating more.
Right. Because you feel bad.
You feel bad, and what's going to make you feel better? Another foot long.
Yeah, let me go back to food. That's
where that 6 foot long come from. I eat that foot long. I said, well, I didn't need that foot long, and then 2 hours later, I feel bad, so I eat another foot long. And if I feel real bad about it, I eat 2 foot longs. It was a never-ending process.
So you'd mentioned skin removal. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is a major surgery, isn't it?
It is. It was. They removed 20 pounds of skin from me.
Probably the easiest 20 you ever lost.
Hardest.
Yeah.
Hardest. It wasn't a surgery itself, and it was a blessing surgery because I live life now that just the simple things, being able to clean yourself. Or the other day it was funny because I got out and this happened like 5 or 6 months ago, but in fact September. But when I was at my biggest, I couldn't get a towel to wrap around me. So I just stuck the towel under my belly and I'll sit there and shave and everything like this right here. And just from bad habits, a lifetime of doing that, I got out the bathtub and I went to stick the towel under my belly and there wasn't a belly there and it dropped to the ground. I'm like, well, I might have to start tying this towel. I just seen the little thing of just tying a towel around you when you get out of the bathtub. I have not learned yet.
What's recovery like that? I mean, what's the time for
recovery? Is it's not in your hands. And through this journey, I got a go button on all the time. I will not sit still. I mean, this is just sitting here like this is just. I was bedridden for 4 months, so it's like I got to go. But when you do these procedures, like skin remove, I'm getting ready to get knee surgery. You got to realize it's not in your hands. The healing process is time that is not belongs to you. You know what I mean? It's in the good Lord's hands. You just got to be patient. I remember busting stitches. I remember you hurting yourself because the healing process, when you try to fight it, you end up wasting another month trying to heal from where you're supposed to be already healed from. And once I figured that I am powerless through this healing process, it wasn't too bad. But when you sit there and you try to fight the healing process, when the doctor tells you to stay in the bed for 3 weeks and not lift and not do this and not do that and not drive around, he means lay in the bed, do nothing, keep your diet strong, and just, don't do nothing.
Right.
And once you get that past your head that this is not your time, that healing process is out of your hands, it's not so bad. But just the constant battle of saying, I can't lay here, I'll gain weight. I can't lay here, I'll get morbid obesity again. And you go and you try to start doing a little exercise or start trying to walk that half a mile. It just, you just got the process is there. They go to school. They know the process. Trust them,
So it comes up in every single podcast, and it's the last line of a blog I'm writing right now that I've got to finish. There's a process to everything, and you cannot skip the process.
You're not
going to wake up tomorrow and be 600 pounds. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and lose 600 pounds. There's a process to everything. Since you're so vocal about what you're doing in your journey and what's going on with title and all that kind of stuff, I'm assuming you got a lot of people that's looking at you for support throughout this whole process. Now you're sharing a lot of stuff on Facebook. What's that been? I mean, it's got to be fulfilling. I know what I do, like going and speaking and this stuff here, just putting content out to try to help other people is extremely fulfilling to me. So I would assume that with what you're doing.
It's my passion. If I can keep somebody from just having to stop to try to find a tree to use the bathroom because they can't fit in the public bathrooms, or if I can stop anybody from having to go through what I went through, it's worth it. It's just nobody on this earth should have to live life that way. And if me, through my journey, can get it out there just to save one kid from having, and just to save one person or kid, or just stop the process, like you said, and turn it around, it's worth it, man. I'll tell you, it's totally, I can sit here and talk all night. It's a passion. I wake up, instead of waking up thinking about that Big Mac, I think about how and what do I have to do today to stop this person from killing themselves with food.
Yeah.
And it's completely life-changing.
It's amazing to me, the people that I meet, that it's the same thing. Like, that's why I do this. I want to help some kid that grew up poor, single mother, food stamps, welfare, that wants to own a business, help them achieve that. I did it. I was a terrible student. I sucked at school. If I can do it, anybody can. As cliche as it is, right? And that's why I do it, is that's the why. Is I want to help other people, and you want to help other people. And I had friends on last week that were both been in prison, and now they spend so much time trying to keep other people from following their footsteps and to try to learn from our mistakes and our successes, right? You don't want them to just learn that you were 600 pounds. You want people to learn that you took it off, and it's a lifestyle change.
Well, it's not a quick fix. It's a lifetime. Everybody that seems to, I've noticed, just being around Title and and just what I've been through, that people come through the door after hearing my story and everything, and I tell them the truth, and they expect a quick fix. They expect that 50 pounds to be off. Boom. Yeah. We're not here for a quick fix.
Yeah.
We're here for a permanent, healthy, and not to be skinny.
Yeah.
There's people get, well, I'm here to be skinny. No, you're here to better your life. You're here to be healthy. Skinny don't mean healthy. Like you said, these people being 80, 100 pounds and regurgitating, skinny is not healthy, is healthy.
Right.
And there's two different things.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I throw these shorts out at them and it wakes them up. These are size 65 right here. And a lot of times when I get people in the gym and I try to talk to them about it's not a quick fix, it's a lifestyle change. And I throw these shorts out at them, and these are size 65 that I used to have to wear under my belly. In fact, I went to the big man shop in Myrtle Beach, and they said, Big Mike, if you go up one more size, we ain't gonna have no clothes to fit you. So I was at the point. I was at the point where, what do I wear? It's just
wow.
It's a passion. I don't want I don't want to have nobody to have to put these on.
I certainly understand that, because that's me, man. That's why, there's a lot of work involved in just this. We've been up here for a little over an hour. We'll talk. It'll take hours to export video, I have to watch the whole thing, to edit it, to upload it. And I want to skip the process because I want more people consuming the content, right? Like right now on the YouTube channel, as of today, there was only 48 subscribers. We'll post it, you'll share it, we'll pick up a few more or whatever. But I want thousands seeing this because it's important. We all want to reach more people or whatever. So I get frustrated in this process not because I know the process and I understand the process and it takes time and it's all this, but I still want to skip it because it's worth it, right? We need people to hear these stories. We need all that, but I know you can't.
Well, you just said this right here, kind of like the weight loss. You can't speed the process up.
You can't.
You just got to go with the process. Yeah. And once you figure that, well, if I skip this process, the outcome is not going to be what I want. So why do it?
But that's the challenge, is so many people want to skip it. When I'm working out in the gym, you see the resolution folks come in. 6 weeks later, they're all gone. Most of them are gone. We get, and I don't remember, oh my God, what was the weight loss game show that used to come on in the evenings, where it was like husband and wife teams or whatever.
The Biggest Loser.
Biggest Loser. So these people would lose 100 plus pounds on this TV show in 6 weeks, 2 months. I don't even remember what the numbers were. But people thought that, well, I can go do that. It's not, you didn't put it on in 6 weeks. To think you're going to take it off in 6 weeks is a ridiculous goal to put on yourself, because you're not going to achieve it. And if the goal is...
And if you do, it don't last.
Right. But if
a lot of times those people on those shows, if you look back 2 years later, they're back in the same, and a lot of times they've gained more weight than they lost on the show.
Because they're not changing the lifestyle.
It's for the ratings. And you gotta, it's gotta be forever. Yeah. It's not for this week. It's not for this month. It's got to be forever. And once you get that mindset, like, this is my lifestyle, this is the way I got to live if I want to be happy, Healthiness is happiness, and it's hand in hand. And if I want to be happy for the rest of my life, if it's 2 weeks from now or if it's 25 years from now, this is the way it's got to be.
Well, I think, we'll use 50 pounds for an example. If I wanted to lose 50 pounds, where I'm at in my life right now, the way I look at things is I need to lose 2 pounds a month for the next 2 years. It's 2 years. You should be able to, I should be able to just do nothing else other than cut out soda and lose 2 pounds a month, right? But if that's the process, it's 2 years. You can't expect it to be in 2 weeks or 2 months. If you want to add more to it, more dieting, get on a strict diet, whatever it is, do some exercise, start figuring something that makes sense. But I need to lose 20, 30, 40 pounds a month. It's crazy.
So the sky's the limit. I've got right now, I'm down to losing my last 50, 60 pounds. And you don't know how many times people come up to me after me losing 350 pounds. Well, you can't lose big weight when you're down to losing your last 50 or 60 pounds. I've lost 10 pounds this week. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It's the work you put in is what the result you're going to get out of. Now, if you want to lose 2 pounds a month for the next 2 years, that's fine. But if you want to shave off 10 pounds in a week or two, You got to get a strict diet. You got to have that 1,000 to 1,200 day calorie. You got to put in that mile. You got to put that gym in. You got to get your water in. It's possible, but
most people
you just
don't.
got to work. You got to work hard.
Yeah, right. But most people don't. It's just like anything else in life. You're going to have 5% that are super successful.
Well, they want to put the blame game, and that's right. What did you eat that bag of M&Ms? Well, yeah. Well, that's why you only lost 1 pound this month.
Right.
You see, it's mind over matter.
Right.
You know,
and they're not honest with themselves or whatever. No. We're not measuring food. We're not doing this. It's I'll stop and pick this up, or I'll drink a. I can remember walking in the gym and dropping Red Bull cans in the trash can outside to walk into the gym. But yeah, man. But for me, it was never. I had a goal. Like I mentioned earlier, of getting down to 175, but it wasn't about a number. It was I remember feeling best at that number. But that 175 and the new 175 would have been two different completely things, because back then there was no working out. It was no muscle. It was no anything. It was just fat 175, to where this other one where I was trying to get to, there was muscle. There was all that. I'm good at 200. Walking around at 200.
Whatever you feel healthy at, whatever you feel good at, whatever you put on and you feel good putting it on, that's where you need to be. It don't care if it's 170 or if it's 220, as long as it's healthy and you're happy and you're not hurting yourself. That's where you need to be. It's
unfortunate though. These, especially I think for women, these unrealistic beauty standards. They're unachievable,
especially starting so young. My daughter right now, it starts so young, the bullying and everything else, and it's got a lot to do with weight. Today's society, it's no secret kids today are so much unhealthier than they were 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where it starts from. It starts breaking their mind down, their confidence down, everything else down. And then when they become a adult, that part of them that says, let me better myself, is gone. And they don't care about eating. They don't care about nothing. And all of a sudden, they're stuck on a 600-pound life, and they sitting there, can't get in out of a bathtub. Or,
it's weird, man.
It starts with kids. It just starts.
But it's weird as I'm sitting here thinking about the conversation, and like, most people don't look at it as an addiction, right? It's like you said, you're lazy. Just don't eat 6 footlongs. Go to the damn gym. Don't do that. What's wrong with you? Look at me. I don't do that. You can do it. So I'm thinking about like people getting help, like some kid in high school. What do? They go to the guidance counselor and look, I'm 350 pounds, like we talked about earlier. I'm 350 pounds. What's the guy? Where are they going to send them? What advice are they going to give?
There's nothing out there, and that's what and you talking about. When I was going to school, I remember back then it was skins or shirts. And I remember everybody just looking at me and said, won't you be skinned? Won't you be skinned? Well, in my mind, I know I ain't going to be skinned because I'm 350 pounds at 16 years old.
Right.
But, and a lot of times, instead of taking the time and helping me get fit, they shoved me to the side. I couldn't do the basketball. I couldn't do the track. I couldn't do that. Well, you get over here and do some sit-ups, and I'll check on you. Instead of helping me, they pushed me away, and it just pushed me further away. And one of my passions and one thing that I want to come and get out of this ordeal is I would like to start a summer camp for morbidly obese kids, to where maybe 2 weeks in the summer vacation, instead of them playing video games or feeding their face, that 1 week we can break them down, teach them good eating habits, and that second week, teach them how to live with it and keep it going. There's nothing around here, and if there is, they're doing a poor thing and getting the message out there.
So are you working for Title, or are you just working out there? What's the Title relationship?
Title to me is family. Title was there when I first walked through the door, and I had to sit in the chair in front of the bag. Title is, I like to consider personally ground zero. It's where I fell to my worst and where I build myself up, and the sky's the limit. Title is mainly everybody there seen me, and they know my capabilities, and they know my restriction. And I don't work there, but it's part of me. It's a real big part of me, and I'm stuck on Title just for the fact that they were there for the transaction, and I'm comfortable with the restriction. And people walk in there, and they can't do all the workouts. They can't do this here. They can't do the burpees and all this right here. They're restricted by health or their size or something like that right there. And just me being able to stand beside them with the bag, and the trainers call out something and they look at them like, well, I can't do that. What do I do? Me, I'm the king of modification because I started out not being able to do nothing,
Sure.
and I could make them comfortable where they say, do this. Just because you can't do 10 burpees, don't mean you just stand still because you just hurting yourself,
How did you stay focused? Because I would assume at some point along the way, the day one, right? You go to title, you're in a chair, doing what you can on the bag. You mentioned earlier burning and earning that kind of stuff. I mean, how'd you get through setbacks? How'd you get through plateaus? Was it just the why? I've got to keep going forward. I mean, what kept you focused on all that stuff?
Well, I got too big for the cab. I started a little cab company. I got too big for that. I was sent home to die. I was approved for disability. I came to the point where I've always worked hard my whole life. And in my mind, and it's always a mindset, in my mind, when I walk through title doors, it's time to work. That's where I'm punching in.
Cool.
I'm not going to be the one to stay on disability. I'm trying my best right now to get off of it. And hopefully, and pray to the good Lord, after this knee surgery, I can get off of it and I can start living my life as a 44-year-old man supposed to be living. But my mentality, when I first walked through title, and I knew that I had to pick between dying in the cab or trying to live, I made up my decision then that when I walked through them doors and I hit that bag, it wasn't exercise, it wasn't nothing. It was time to work. I get work. I got disability. I am working to better myself. I will not die on this. I will not die dying. I will always try to better myself. And once I got through my head that title is a place of work, it's not just a gym. It's not just a club.
Sure.
It's a place for me to survive, for me to make my living. You see what I'm saying? Once that happens, the plateaus, the bad days, the hurting, the soreness, and believe me, there were days like that. A lot of days like that.
There always is.
It didn't matter. All I saw was my goal was to get this weight off, or I wasn't doing my job and I'll get fired. And me getting fired was me firing myself.
Yeah. Well, like I told you earlier about having some folks on that had gotten out of prison and that kind of stuff. They used to be gangbangers and all that. And I've asked them, number one, it's going to be hard for a felon to get a job. They're working, kind of minimum wage type jobs. I'm like, how hard is it to not go back? Because you could pick up the phone right now, make a phone call, and have drugs waiting on you or whatever. And so, I would think the same thing in anybody that you can
get a job,
right? But when I say go back,
would you hire me?
When you go back,
587.
Right. But what I'm saying about is going back is it's easy to go back to eating 6 foot longs, right?
Oh, yeah,
on those bad days, and when food's always been your comfort your whole life. I mean, to me, those would be tremendous struggles to try to push through and just have the mindset that
it's
I'm
a
not.
lifetime of struggle. But the longer you go without it, the cravings and everything else gets weaker, and you just look at it that way. There, it's just like drugs. You just go longer without it, and the weakness and the temptation, it gets weaker and weaker. Then all of a sudden you see yourself doing better without it. And that's what keeps you going. Right now, just, being able to dress up and go out and just walk down the boulevard or walk down the boardwalk. Born and raised here, this is the first time I've been able to pick up thousands of customers, drop them off at the Skywheel, drop them off at the boardwalk, drop them off at these areas, and picking them back up and saying, oh, I had such a good time at Pirates Voyage and all this right here. And here I am, born and raised here, and I'm just agreeing with them. I'm like, yeah, I bet so. This will be my first summer being able to take my daughter, hopefully, to Pirates Voyage, to walk the boulevard, to get on the ocean. Knees and ankles so bad I couldn't walk the beach. And I sit here, I just did 2 miles before coming here, walking the boardwalk and just being able to walk the boardwalk without everybody looking at you like you're planet from you're just somebody else from somewhere else, and just being able to do it and just look at the ocean and say, you know what? This is the things that make life worth living. The little things, being able to look at this ocean, being able to walk this boardwalk, being able just to walk into any restroom and not have to worry about the toilet paper rack stabbing you and you got to sit this way here. Or it's such, if I can put the rewards through this journey that got me where I'm at now in the minds of people that are morbidly obese, they will say, wow, it's worth it. It is worth the pain. It is worth the fight. It is worth the crying. It is worth any anguish that you have to go through to get to where I'm at now. It's worth it. The reward, my life, I don't have a pot to pee in, and I'm as happy as I've ever been in my whole life. It's just an amazing transaction. You live your life suffering through this disease called morbid obesity, and when you come out of it, life is so good. Even the little things you just appreciate so much. Being able to go to a clothes store and picking out clothes that you can wear. I mean, I fell in love with Burlington clothes store. I just love being able to dress up now instead of just putting on a pair of 5X jersey workout shorts with the band to it. I used to have to pull the string out of it to wear the shorts and wearing 8X t-shirts. Just the little things, man. Yeah. Just being able to control your diet is a big thing. I love being able to control my eating. I love having control of my life. And when you start getting that control back, it's addictive. I know if I go eat those 2 footlongs, my reward, my enjoyment of being able to sit here and talk to you is out the window,
Well, man, I appreciate the story. We'll share your Facebook stuff in the description and all that so people can follow and be part of that.
Absolutely. That's why I put it out there. It's true. Some of it's real raw, but I put it out there. This is the way I feel. This is what I've been through. And this is what I hope and pray that you would never have to go through.
When you're putting out a lot of content too. I mean, I see 2, 3, 4, 5 posts a day, it seems like, coming from you. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that you're putting out.
It's a lot of work to get where I'm at.
Yeah. And I keep going back to support because I think people need that support. I would never understand what you'd said about a public restroom and a toilet paper holder jamming you in the leg. I've never been that big. But that'll resonate with somebody, right? They'll know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guarantee you there's somebody that's going to sit there and listen out there and they're like, I know what he's talking about.
Yeah, they absolutely will.
They have to find the convenience stores that is able to where they can sit and,
We've got the same journey, man. Mine's just help people, right? Yours is very specific. Mine was very specific as well. And then it turned into this. It's morphed into this to where I just want to find people with stories of encouragement to put out. Young people are my focus, but not young people. It could be anybody, right? And I really
went from disabled the journey to where now it's a passion. I wake up and I sleep and I dream about how I can help and keep people from following my footsteps and living the life that I used to live, because it's nothing but dreadfulness and painfulness and just nothing. It just comes to death. It's a short death. That's all it is. I've always told everybody that being morbidly obese and addiction to food is the slowest form of suicide out there, because you're doing it. You know it's going to be the outcome. It's going to kill you. You can't stop.
Yeah. Well, we're going to put it out there, man. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much, man. It was a lot of fun and a pleasure.
Yes, sir.